Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you and welcome back to the 7th meeting of the East Oakland CERT. I am Charles Reed, your co-chair, and of course, Ayanna Johnson, your other co-chair.
Hello, hello. Good evening, y'all. We're here. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. We have our interpreters. We'll have our interpreter, Gigi. She's going to turn it over. I'm going to turn it over to Gigi. So we have our interpretation instructions. Go ahead, Gigi.
Okay, good afternoon. And to use interpretation mode in your meeting webinar controls, click interpretation on the little world and select the language that you would like to hear. In this case, English, Spanish or English. And then en español. Para escuchar el seminario en español, por favor, en los controles de la reunión o el seminario web, haga clic en los 3 puntitos y luego en el mundo y escoge español. Si está en su teléfono, haga clic en los 3 puntitos en el icono de mundito y también escoge español. Y para escuchar solo el idioma interpretado, haga clic en el silenciar o mute audio original. Gracias.
Thank you. So we're going to be starting the interpretation. So just remember, even if you speak English, please click and enter into the English room so you can hear when Marina or other Spanish speakers share something so you can hear it in English. And you can go on to the next slide.
We wanted to say welcome, everyone. Welcome to our CSC monthly members meeting. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
And Ayanna, we wanted to thank everyone who showed up to our meet and greet. Thank you so much for your participation.
Absolutely.
And we're glad to be hearing your feedback and everything. Thank you.
So Charles is going to go ahead and hand over that agenda for you guys. Charles.
So, of course, we did our welcomes. We did our interpretation. And so that would take about 20 minutes, 19 minutes of our meeting, right? So let me go run through this. East Oakland Community Emissions Reduction Plan Timeline Extension. This will be a discussion of the CARB timeline. And we do have some representatives from CARB, Julia Longo and Mr. Brian Moore. And then we'll have a short break. Then we'll move on to our exciting visions and principles part. This is where everybody in the CSC gets the opportunity to say, this is what we would like it to be like. This is what we would like it to do. And how can we get that done? And so, of course, we got to have our principles, and integrity has to be our main one, everybody. Then we're going to be moving down to our East Oakland EJ announcements and updates, which will be 15 minutes, and that'll take us from 7:40 to about 7:54. And then we'll be closing out with our next steps. And to close out, which will be 5 minutes, 7:55 to 8 p.m. And I would just hope that all of us are ready to learn something, have some fun, and let's all participate in this, because we might want to popcorn some people tonight.
I think we should, Charles. So, you guys, our initial meeting agreements are notes for participation. Remember, 1 mic, 1 voice. Use raise hand function under reactions at the bottom of your screen. Grace for ourselves and one another. Take care of yourself, stretch, drink water, and breathe. Community building on Zoom, so use chat and the reaction emojis to inspire and encourage one another. For any questions throughout the meeting, please use the Zoom chat. CBE and BACMed staff will be responding to all questions.
So for our community building, we want you to type your name in pronouns and affiliations into the chat. CSC members, please raise your hand if you are not able to type in the chat, and we will have you speak aloud.
So afterwards, I'm going to turn it over to Kita and Lujane. The updates, importance of building consensus on a united front. So CBE will conduct voluntary check-ins between CSC meetings, improve the process, ensure all members feel heard, and charter revisions are the next step. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayana. And I just wanted to expand on what Ayana shared and just say that we want to make sure that we're continuing to improve this process and that people feel clear about what the goals of each meeting are. And so your feedback has been really crucial and important in improving the process. And then as a final update related to the charter, we're asking you all if you could submit your feedback by tomorrow, Friday. And we're going to incorporate your feedback and questions that you have into the charter and come back to it in the next meeting. So we will be returning to that future meeting. Thanks. And I see, Susan, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Oh, Susan, you're currently muted.
Sorry about that. I'm on an iPad and so I can't sign in. So I just want to let you know I'm here.
Thank you. We're also taking track of attendance, so we have you down.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening, Susan.
Hi.
And now, and good to see you also, Susan. And so now, Lujane, will we be passing it on to Miss Longo?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Charles. So we're going to be talking about the first part of this meeting, talking about the community emissions reduction plan timeline. And so I'll just be covering a brief overview of the community steering committee and how we got to here and just what the purpose of the steering committee is. And then I'm going to pass it off to Alicia Chow from the Air District to talk about the proposed CERC timeline. And then finally, Julia Luongo from CARB will be talking about the CERC timeline, the role of CARB. And I also see, Kalila, you have your hand raised if you'd like to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, Lujane, your audio is kind of shadowy and echoey. I'm not sure why, but just it's a little hard to understand.
Thank you. Does that sound a little bit better now? Or if not, I can use different headphones. Does it still sound echoey?
Let's try to switch. And I know because
Okay.
you have a big portion that you're speaking to today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So folks, give us a minute as she transfers over.
While she transfers over, I just want to say thank you for all that came out to our meet and greet. Thank you guys for your participation and your patience.
Okay, is that better now? Can people hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. And thanks for sharing, Kalila, too. And then we can go ahead and move forward with the next slide. So just some more background on the steering committee. It was formed, or in 2022 of February, CARB voted to nominate East Oakland. And just based on the work that CBE has done in East Oakland, we developed a partnership agreement with the Air District to decide to move forward with this process. And so from March to August, we started to conduct outreach in East Oakland and called for applications for members of East Oakland to apply to become a part of the community steering committee. And first and foremost, it's just super important to ensure that this process is community led. And in order to do that, we felt that having a group of members from a wide range of sectors and backgrounds to meet and to be able to develop this SERP was a crucial and integral part of the SERP process, and something that has been sometimes missing from other AB 617 processes in other cities. And then we had our launch in September 2022, and now it's been several months, and we're starting to get into developing out the vision and principles, and just wanted to share that just as, you know, for more context about where we got to where we are today. And this image on the right is a picture of our former NorCal program director Ernesto, meeting with various community members in our office. And I'll go ahead and pass it off to Alicia.
Thanks, Lou Jane. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. Hi, I'm Alicia Shao here from the Air District, and wanted to take some time here to remind folks of our proposed SERP timeline here. You've seen this in past steering committee meetings, but this is our rough timeline. It lays out the major milestones and the plan elements, as well as the timing for our plan process. So as Lou Jane mentioned, we started in February 2022 with the California Air Resources Board selection and AB 617 designation for East Oakland. And we have 2 years to create the community emission reductions plan. So this will take us into summer of 2024. And so currently we are in winter of 2022 and spring of 2023, where tonight we'll be discussing the SERP vision and principles, as well as the SERP timeline extension that we're speaking on now. So with that, I will pass it to Julia Luongo from the California Air Resources Board, and thank you for her to be here to provide more insight into the SERP timeline and the role of CARB in this process.
Great. Thanks, Alicia, and thanks, Lou Jane. So hi, everyone. My name is Julia Luongo. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at the California Air Resources Board, also called CARB for short, so I'll be calling it CARB. And I'm in the group responsible for implementing and overseeing the AB 617 program statewide. So today I'll be talking about 2 topics. First, I'll give some background and history on timelines to develop community emission reduction programs, or SERPs. And I'll get into, why are we even talking about this right now? And then we'll do a little Q&A before jumping into a few more slides that I have, just to give you all a sense of who CARB is, our authority, and what's our role alongside you in this program. And I'll also just give you some information on my team and how we work across the various divisions of CARB to support you all in this program. So so on this slide we have, what does the law say about timelines to develop SERPs? And I know this has been talked about in some previous meetings. So Assembly Bill 617, that was the bill that established this program that's called the Community Air Protection Program, and that passed in 2017. And that said that SERPs need to be adopted by the Air District 1 year after selection by CARB in the program. And we think that the legislative intent here was to make sure these emissions reductions were occurring quickly. A few years later, as this program evolved and we learned about how to do this, really, we were hearing that 1 year is a really, really hard timeline to meet, particularly in a really community-driven process, democratic process. It can take a lot more time to build up trust and set up, protocols, charters, and other types of processes to work together in this way. So the legislature then passed Assembly Bill 1749 just last year, which amended this program. And one of those amendments had to do with the SERP timelines, allowing to extend up to 2 years with the agreement of the CSC, the Air District, and CARB. And so in terms of process around timelines, before this amendment, this AB 1749, we already had SERPs going past that 1 year statutory requirement. And what would happen was air districts and CSCs would submit a letter to us detailing why that deadline couldn't be met. And there were a number of reasons. I mean, the pandemic happened, we were learning about community processes. And so what we would do is then acknowledge those efforts and say, we can't grant an extension for the law. It's the law, like we don't have that authority, but we support all the partners being on the same page about this timeline. And so now the process looks really similar given this new amendment, AB 1749. So that has made the second year like formal, but the process looks the same in terms of the CSC and the air district submitting a letter to CARB saying, hey, here's our timeline. And all of the partners agree and are on board with this timeline. And then the way CARB reacts to that is say, we can't grant extensions beyond the 2 years because that's the law. And so in the case of you all, based on the timeline that Alicia just talked about, that does go beyond 2 years since selection. But what we can do is acknowledge that we're seeing a process where all the parties involved are on board, and that we support that everybody's on the same page. And so that process is important just in terms of like making sure we're meeting the law, but also like as the kind of overseer of this program, for there to be transparency around that. So in terms of just some history here, I have a chart here that shows communities selected in the first 3 years of the program and how many days it took from selection to SERP adoption. And so generally speaking, what we've seen is that it's taken longer on average to adopt SERPs. And we can't say exactly why that is, but beyond like the pandemic and other types of things, we've observed that as the program goes on, we've seen a lot more co-leadership and partnership and community-driven processes, which take more time to establish those types of processes and build that trust than a process that was purely led by the district, for example. So that's kind of what I wanted to get across on this slide. And yeah, so that's all I have on timelines, and I guess wanted to open it up if anybody has any questions on timelines or concerns with this process I spoke of in terms of submitting a letter, talking about your timeline. So.
Julia, we have a few hands up. We have Carol first and then Cynthia. So Carol?
Carol.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
Good. I guess, sorry, that's my dog trying to be a ham in the camera there. So about how many how many communities are doing the SERPs, and of those, how many are like going over 2 years? Like the majority of them taking longer than 2 years?
Let's see if I can pull these stats out the top of my head. So not the majority have gone over the 2 years yet, because at the very beginning, everybody was like, we got to get this done in a year, Mm-hmm. But those processes were very district led, if I had to generalize. Mm-hmm. But as this program goes on, more and more communities are going past 1 year or 2 years, depending on where they are. And we have always, it's always been, so far as what we've seen, it's always been supported by everyone involved. And so in those cases, CARB says, hey, everybody is on board here. So I would say, yeah, that number is increasing, but we're not more than half. And there's 19 communities selected right now, though a bunch of those are still in development. So I don't have off the top of my head how many are already complete with their SERPs, but let's say more than half. So at more than 10 SERPs have been completed. And I would say less than half of those have gone beyond the statutory requirement.
Okay, thanks. Super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Julia. Thank you so much for your presentation and being here today. I heard a couple of things. I heard that the law is the law and there's no changing regulations or timelines, but there is a letter that can be submitted. 2 questions. Is the purpose of the letter being submitted just to for your, not only your research, but the folks that are kind of following this journey with all these different communities to track that it is taking longer than anticipated. So that's the first question. And the second one, if we were to submit a letter, if we want an extension, is there any flexibility whatsoever, or is it pretty rigid and sticking to the summer 2024 deadline? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia, for those questions. So yeah, so as I said, like the law is the law. Because the law actually says like it needs to have the agreement of the CSC and the Air District and CARB, it becomes really a transparency process. So because CARB, we are the ones implementing this program statewide, and we are ensuring that, we are following the law. It's our way of having that transparency and that documentation of how long things are taking. And yes, it's good just for us to track, but mostly it's kind of that documentation and transparency piece for that letter. In terms of the flexibility, we have been super flexible, and that's because, again, so far everyone's been on board. When folks want to go past the statutory requirement, it's because everybody thinks it's gonna make a stronger SERP. And so we are careful not to say like, sure, go ahead, because we can't, because the law says you can't. But we say, hey, we see you're trying, we see everybody's on board. So like, thanks for trying, that's cool. We kind of like it, so it's tricky. We can't grant an extension, but we can just acknowledge that everyone's cool, and so it's kind of there's a lot of flexibility for us there. Of course, because it's like going technically against the law, there's a risk there, but I think the risk is super low, because if everybody's on board, I see the chat here about what are the consequences. The consequence could be that if somebody's like, hey, this is going beyond the 2 years and it's like breaking the law, somebody would have to, I'm not a lawyer, so like take this with a grain of salt, I'm not a lawyer, but somebody would have to sue and say you're breaking the law. The risk of that, I think, is super low, because everybody involved in this process is all really on board. And even, the SERP would probably be completed and approved by the time anything happened with something like that. So again, not a lawyer, but that, yeah, I would say that would be the only consequence I could imagine. That has never happened in this program.
Thank you. We have Charles's hand up.
Hey, Charles.
Hello, Julia. I wanted to pass it off to any other steering committee members first who might have a question, because I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity while we have you here, Julia. So I see Marina hand up. Let me.
Hola, Marina.
Hello.
Sí, ya me quité.
Yes, I'm off mute. Good afternoon or good evening. As I've been listening to everything that CARB does, I imagine that SERP should be more transparent and more flexible, right? Because if you've been aware, we've been organizing for years in East Oakland. It took us 2 years with one machine monitoring the air quality, the environment. We found a lot of tiny chemicals, and it didn't only take 2 years, it took us more, it took us months more. And this means that you should be flexible in case we cannot achieve, because there's so much research, so much work that needs to be done, that we need to do as a community. And those of us on the committee, sometimes we say, oh, we can do it in 1 year. When we talk, we say, oh, we can do it by tomorrow, but to actually do it, it's complicated. It takes quite a bit of time. It takes a long time to be able to do things right, because we can finish that 2 years or earlier, but the work is not going to be completed. So I want to say, please have transparency, please be flexible. Don't force us to do this work in a rush where we will not be able to obtain the information that we're seeking, okay? So I don't know what you can do in these cases. I don't know. Just like my partners, it would be something that we would rush, and we're trying to do our job. We're here to be able to do that job among all of us in the state with everybody else, with SERP, with CARB. That's why we're here, all of us together, so that we can work and have a dialogue and discover about the pollution in the environment. But it's a process, and it's not easy. Thank you.
Gracias, Marina. Yeah, I completely agree with you. We are not kind of enforcing any sort of timeline. We are trying to be as flexible as we can, support you all in your process at your pace. So that is our stance. I just wanted to give you the information in terms of some of the steps in terms of like the letter that needs to be sent to us, but we are 100% flexible on your schedule. And, you know, the reason these requirements exist are if, let's say you all were not happy about the pace things are going, we have a safeguard saying, hey, speed it up, you have a timeline, there's a law. If everybody wasn't on board, we have that kind of safeguard. But here, if everyone's on board, then we absolutely support and are flexible to that. And in terms of who, I see the note in the chat, in terms of who is responsible for sending the letter, the letter should be sent after year 1. We're flexible on that. So soon, no deadline on the letter, and who it would be coming from the Air District, but being able to show in some way, such as the recording of this meeting, that folks don't have concerns and are thumbs up with the timeline.
Are there any other community steering committee members or community members that would like to ask Julia a question? You could tell me if there are or not, Diana.
I don't see anybody else's hand up except for yours.
Oh, okay, thank you. And so finally, Julia, I get to ask you this question because I know your job is a great undertaking. I mean, especially to have to oversee all the developments of the SERPs. And I'm just hoping that I'm able to help add how to help the process grow more organically. And one of the things is there anywhere within the CARB mandated timeline that focuses on community empowerment through education on environmentalism, and what's the success rates of those SERPs that you mentioned already? Like, how do you judge them as being successful? They implemented this, because we have a great undertaking, and I just want to make sure that we understand that is not going to be easy, and that this is a process where we gonna have to struggle through it like a little baby learning how to walk sometime.
This is an amazing question, Charles. Thank you. So your first question about if there's in the law around like education, if you've ever like read the actual words of the law, it's like super dry. And actually, like this concept around community steering committees is something that CARB put forth as the mechanism for for a good way to consult with community. But in fact, all the law says is air districts shall consult with community, with agencies, with industry, and it leaves it at that. And so, yeah, I would say no, the law doesn't really get into that. And so it's for us to make this program what we want it to be. And then in terms of your second question for success, I'll try to be quick because I know we're short on time. There's annual reporting required for SERPs every single year to say, here's where I am on implementing my strategies. And then there are requirements in the blueprint, which is our guidance document on how to implement this program, where every SERP must give targets for every strategy. And year 5 is like a milestone year where you say, my plan will achieve these emissions reductions for my strategies. It'll be this much. And so every year we're tracking that. And we're looking at like, how far along are you? How many strategies have completed, initiated? And then particularly at year 5, we're saying, are you meeting your targets? And if we can, we also every year are saying, are you meeting your targets? Are you on board? And so we do that tracking, and that tracking is, the annual reporting requirement is another transparency piece that's really important in the implementation of these plans. Sorry, I spoke really fast. My apologies to the interpreter.
And we had 2 other hands up. Or Diana?
No, it was reactions, like
Oh, okay.
with tears and like thumbs up.
Okay. Because Julia, so in actuality, through the SERP, you normally wouldn't see any implementation for 5 years.
No, that's just like a milestone year. It actually is supposed to force actions to happen within 5 years. So it's saying like, what are you going to have done by year 5 so that your strategies aren't super long-term where it's like, oh yeah, we'll get these projects done in the next 10 years. It's saying, not only do you have to initiate everything by year 5, we want to see some real reductions happening by year 5 and tell us how much so we can tell you if you're meeting that target or not. So it's supposed to like speed it up because some of these strategies can take a long time to get off the ground and start realizing emissions reduction. So it's a way of really forcing that to happen quickly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julia. I knew you were gonna be able to enlighten us. And so I'm glad you showed up today.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, and apologies for speaking so fast again to the interpreter. I'm gonna slow myself down a little bit. Okay, so I have a couple more slides. So I just wanted to touch on the roles of all the different partners working together in this program, and then talk a little bit more about CARB's role more specifically. So CARB primarily regulates mobile sources, so cars, trucks, and buses, for example. And we adopt regulations for the sources in our authority, and those apply across the entire state. And then at the regional level, each air district adopts rules for the sources in their authority, and those are like stationary sources and local sources, so things like refineries or wood smoke or dust are some of the things that are in the air district's authority. And those rules only apply within that particular region. And air districts also issue air permits to facilities within the air district. So we have our statewide and we have our regional programs working together. And then here with the community, you all and local agencies, that's great to have at the table here, providing that local expertise, lived experience to inform the solutions and strategies in the SERP. And that really makes up our team here working together at this table. And so in terms of CARB's role, CARB is both a partner and an implementer in AB 617, just as air districts are. So my group is called the Office of Community Air Protection. So that's called, or I'll call it OCAP for short. And so we're responsible for the statewide implementation of this program. And we also oversee some different elements of the program. So for example, we administer incentive funds, or just general funds. There's a couple different types of funds to the air districts to operate the program. And we're responsible for requirements of AB 617 that are not related to SERPs. So there's a bunch of other things in AB 617 as well. An example would be there's a criteria and toxics reporting rule. So there's other pieces that we're responsible within that law as well. And so, yeah, so what you see here, so within CARB, OCAP, we coordinate across several divisions to make sure we're bringing the right resources and expertise at the right time. And because we work with all of the AB 617 communities statewide, we also want to help connect you with other communities that maybe have similar priorities or concerns to really support exchange of practices and ideas. That's one of the big things I want to help with here. So here's a breakdown, so an org chart of our organization, how we kind of fit into CARB's full organization. So we have these two branches in our group where my branch on the left side, we serve as liaisons to communities in the program. And because we serve and are close to the community, we work on things like the statewide strategy for this program. And that's also, I referred to it earlier, it's called the program blueprint. So that blueprint defines what the strategy is for implementing this program, and it's the guidance document for how we do it. And so all these things we learn in these discussions, if there are ways to change the way we implement the program, that can all go and kind of feed back into our guidance document and change the way we want to do things. So our branch really focuses on that. We also support the AB 617 consultation group. So if those of you who haven't heard of that, it's kind of it's a multi-stakeholder group. If you follow the scoping plan, it's similar to the EJAC. So it's made up of environmental justice organizations, air districts, industry, academia, public health organizations, and some local government that all consult with us regarding how to run this program. So I'm there at the bottom. I'm your CARB liaison in this program. So I'll be here at every meeting, every step of the way. And I'm your first point of contact within CARB because CARB is huge and you can never know where to go. You can always come to me if there's any issues or concerns about this program or this process in general. And I've also listed on our other branch, Erica Trinidad is on there, and she's my backup, and also on our technical side. So if there's really technical questions, Erica can come in and help us with that. And so I have on the right-hand side, we have several CARB divisions that support this program, and they're on the right there. And each one of these divisions has a liaison for the AB 617 program, and they're my first point of contact when I need help for questions or requests. And I meet with all of these divisions regularly and update them what's going on here in our communities. And they also provide me with updates and resources if there's stuff going on across CARB that they want to bring to you all. I can be that conduit back and forth. So that's kind of how we work within CARB. And so finally, I'll end on just, CARB's role and plan here for East Oakland is really to engage, to listen and support as a partner in this process. We'll be here every step of the way. We can provide information, resources, guidance. It can be on the program itself, what the blueprint or the law says about a certain thing, funding mechanisms, other program questions, or it can be specific to mobile source strategies, which are all within our authority, and we can talk about those as well. So those are some of the ways that we would like to engage with you all, and I'll stop there and open it up to any questions.
Thank you, Julia. We had a few comments in the chat. We had Gabrielle ask, where does the city of Oakland fit into this team? And so
in the community and the local. So yeah, so because technically the actual law, the way it's written, just says like consult with local. There's no direct mandate for local agencies, but we love when we can recruit those local agencies as part of our community partners, because that can make a way stronger SERP. So that's where they fit in, and that's why we see, for example, Kalila is on the CSC, so she's part of that community expertise knowledge coming into this program.
Thank you. We have a few more minutes. Charles.
Yeah, one of the things we did when we first got when me and Ayana were first elected co-chairs is we sent out invitations to our city council members in East Oakland. So the question was what the city of Oakland is doing, and I answered it by saying that our council members and their staff are not here, and they should also be a part of this, especially if they are in charge of dumping in people in certain districts in this area that's not being attended to. And so the question that we want to ask is, how can we, CORB, bring those people, those interested entities from the city to the table so that we can address issues that that are to the detriment of our air quality all over. And I do want to commend you on that chart you just had and broke down the working mechanisms of CORB. And we would love, the community members would love to see that done by all of our partners so that we would all have that understanding and knowledge as a whole of who we're working with and what the hierarchies are. Thank you.
Anna, Anna, I see you unmuted. I want to just make sure if you wanted to speak on that before I jump in.
I thanks, Julia. I was just gonna, and don't mean to put them on the spot, but I just saw in the participant list, we do have someone from Councilmember Reed's office, and yeah, Jamaica put it in the chat as well. Haley, I don't know if you want to say anything, but just want to recognize we have some participation from District 7. Julia, I'll pass it back to you.
Actually, he's a county supervisor, not a city council member.
Oh, I thought I saw the... Haley, sorry, are you still there? Do you want to...
Hi, everyone. Hi, this is Haley Hester with Councilmember Treva Reed's office, representing District 7. Sorry, I was multitasking. There's a lot going on here at the city, and there's a lot going on here with the CSD committee. So happy to be of support. I know, Charles, it's good to see you. Diana, it's good to see you. I know there's a lot of familiar faces. Jamaica's in the chat as well. And I was just catching some brief comments about wanting support, getting some possibly directors from the city to the meetings to discuss some of the issues that are prevalent in our communities. And I'm happy to support with that. And if there's any support that we can lend on getting any other agencies outside of the city of Oakland to the meetings as well, as we talk through you know, the work of the commission, I'm happy to support that as well. So if that looks like the Public Works Department, but specifically their Environmental and Sustainability Division coming to the meetings, that might be a good partner. Yeah, so let us know how we can be of support. We're happy to support in that area.
And my apologies, because I thought it was Supervisor Reed, because Haley, I haven't seen you for a while, and thank you for being here, because we need to have staff of our city council members here so that they're aware of the issues that we're bringing to the table also, because all we want to do is create a partnership with all the interested entities so we can get stuff done. And I'm gonna pass it off to Kalia Hayes, because I see her there.
Hi everyone, this is Kalia Haynes. Just want to say that I'm in the planning department and strategic planning. I'm on the steering committee. And although they're not on the steering committee, the City Administrator's Office of Sustainability and Resilience, as well as the Department of Transportation, is well aware of this effort, and I'm checking with them regularly about you know, when it would be good for them to join these meetings. So just as an FYI.
Thank you, Kalila. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Alicia. And thank you, Lujane. Just want to keep us in track. I did see that Anna put in a comment. We want to work collaboratively with other government agencies that will either need to lead or work with us to implement the strategies in the plan. I just want to note, time check wise, that we're supposed to be having a break right now, but I see Marina, your hand just went up. Would you like 1 minute to share what you want to share, so then we can go into break and continue on?
Sí, rápido lo voy a decir.
Yes, just quickly, I'll say something. I think that right here we have to have the agencies, like the council member that we just mentioned, the council member of this district, that's number 7, and we should also have the transportation one, because if we're talking about transportation, we're talking about pollution from the cars. If we're talking about the Oakland City, we're focusing also on our trash because the streets are full of it. So right here, we need the support also from the council members from our districts, because we're part of all this, and it's all part of our pollution.
Gracias, Marina. All right, and with that, Anish, you can stop sharing the screen. I know we've been talking for almost an hour, and so let's do a 3-minute break. Amy will turn on some music for us. We'll come back at 48, 49 at 6:50. So see you all in a few minutes. Amy, I don't hear audio with this.
Well, the environmental justice movement is, as a movement, is relatively new. Although there were lots of isolated struggles that occurred in this country prior to 1982, for example. That's usually the date that's given for the birth of the movement in Warren County, North Carolina. There were lots of struggles around pesticides and farm workers, around communities that are struggling against highways being built through their communities, and with petrochemical plants, et cetera. But it was not until Warren County, where that PCB landfill, that toxic waste landfill, was placed in the middle of this predominantly black county. And residents in that community said no, and we started to get people from all over the country, led by Reverend Ben Chavis, who at the time was the executive director of the Commission for Racial Justice at the United Church of Christ, that began to galvanize people and attracted lots of folks to Warren County and to protest that landfill and to talk about this whole idea of environmental injustice and environmental racism. And once we started to see people actually going to jail, over 500 people went to jail over the siting of that landfill. So it became not just an environmental issue, it became a civil rights issue and a human rights issue. And that's when you start to get people from all over the country, African Americans and Latinos and Native Americans and Asian Pacific Islanders, to start to think about this whole idea of everybody has a right to live in an environment that is free from pollution. And no community should become the dumping grounds. And so I think that's, that particular moment in history in 1982, where this shot heard around the world of environmental racism and this black community being dumped on, being targeted, and people saying, no, we have a right to live in a clean and healthy environment. That's when the whole idea of environmental justice as a national movement came into effect.
All right, I know that was a really quick break. And this is also a video that the co-chairs had selected. Actually, they wanted to share it with you all two months ago or last month. But
yes.
Yeah, do you wanna say a little bit about it, Ayana?
Yeah, I thought it fit the narrative of what we're trying to do. As somebody who looks like us, who has the same concerns as we do, and their road to redemption and how they overcame obstacles. So I thought that would be wonderful for us to engage with. And, you know, that'll give us like a measuring stick in order to move forward. So I thought that would be really good. But Charles picked it out, and I thought that was really awesome. Charles, you want to go ahead and enlighten them?
Well, I picked it out because I wanted us to realize that Oakland has been the dumping ground for years. And we have a right to stand up against it being a dumping ground for years to come. And I would hope that our CERP would look at that as our responsibility. That's our responsibility, and leave that as a legacy for our community, that we stopped the dumping in Oakland and that we cleaned it up. And now our kids can live and breathe fresh air.
Thank you, Charles and Ayana. Alicia, do you want to get us started? So next section is CERP vision and principles.
Great. Yes. What a great tie-in to our CERP vision and principles. So just wanted to reintroduce myself. My name's Alicia Shao, and I'm in the air quality planning section at the Air District. And really happy today to talk with you about the CERP vision and principles. It's really the first step into the community emission reductions plan. So I will provide an overview of the vision and principles, and Lou Jane will help us get started on the brainstorming and discussion around the topic. So what is a vision? A vision is considered blue sky thinking. You can ask yourself, how do you picture the future? A CERP's vision is a statement that describes the desired future that the plan seeks to achieve. So this visioning process is a collaborative process where the community creates the future it wants by identifying their purpose, values, and aspirations for the future. Below on the slide, you'll see an example from the Climate and Clean Air Coalition's vision to reduce air pollution. Next slide, please. So if vision is the overall picture of the future we want to see, guiding principles are the core values that underpin and guide how to achieve that vision. Principles are there to help ensure that the plan stays true to its vision and the goals and strategies are aligned with its values. It helps the community and the Air District know if we are on the right track or the wrong track to get to that future. Here's an example of a key guiding principle from the Oakland General Plan update process, where you can see the principle of fair and just in all the city does in order to achieve equitable opportunities for all people and communities. Next slide, please. And so we wanted to bring you an example from another Bay Area AB 617 community in our Richmond, North Richmond, San Pablo CERP process, which they call Path to Clean Air. While it's not a requirement for a CERP to have vision and principles, the Path to Clean Air team felt it was important and meaningful to involve all their members of their steering committee to help develop the vision and principles, to ground them in what they value and sharing the change they want to see. On the slide below, you'll see a link and it links to their full vision statement and set of principles. I pulled out a couple that were very important to them in terms of principles. They wanted to center equity throughout the CERP process and also prioritize strategies that are most effective in reducing emissions. Another principle they found important involved transparency and committing to restorative investments in communities disproportionately harmed by environmental injustice. Next slide, please. So I wanted to bring this all together in stating that there is a value in developing the CERP's vision and principles. Together, the vision and principles, they provide a clear and cohesive direction for the CERP. Its intent is to bring community together to share the change they want to see. It reflects what matters most within the community and strengthens trust there, and focuses in on priorities and helps guide investment and funding. So that's what I have for an overview on vision and principles, and wanted to pause here in case any folks had any questions. Okay, if there's no questions, I can pass it to Lou Jane, and she can talk
Well,
about
actually-
the vision and principles activity and breakout discussion.
Actually, I do have a question, Alicia.
Yeah, Charles.
Yeah, I noticed that everything is focused on emissions reduction, but I don't hear anything about mitigation. And I wanted to know, would you agree that mitigation is just as important as reduction?
I would say, you know, the umbrella of strategy development includes, I would say the umbrella of strategy development for emission reductions includes mitigation. So you want to see this as like an umbrella of strategies that can work on various benefits to the community. So that includes, you know, education, incentives, as well as mitigation. Carol, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to kind of respond to Charles's question. I worked in North Richmond, oh gosh, like 25 years ago, and they had a bunch of major problems with Chevron and General Chemical were doing chemical releases, and they weren't telling the community. So I think that for North Richmond, they may be focusing more on the reduction because the mitigation started years ago. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. Any other questions, comments? And we definitely want to hear about your experience within these efforts, and that may segue into where we gather your expertise and experience into diving into the vision and principles activity. So can I pass it to Lou Jane to get us started?
Thanks, Alicia. So as Alicia shared, we're going to be delving into an activity where all of you will be paired in about groups of 5. There will be 4 breakout groups, and we're going to be using this Jamboard as a way, since we're not in person, it's a way to have everyone's ideas shared out on sticky notes. And just a reminder to put your name on your sticky note. And then in your breakout groups, there's going to be specific instructions that your facilitator will share with you. And then finally, after about 30 minutes, we're going to come back as a full room and spend a few minutes going over the ideas that you shared. And then we'll have a question and comment section at the end of the activity. And so we're going to go ahead and start breaking you off into 4 groups now.
Can you send the resend the Jamboard link? Somebody.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
And all the steering committee members, your emails were added to the Jamboard, so you all will have editor access. And for other people, like members of the public, they will just be able to view. When you get into breakout rooms, we can also re-add your email addresses if it work for whatever reason.
Yes. So I have been spending the last 30 minutes setting you all up into breakout rooms. So I'm going to open up the rooms. Remember, There's going to be a few of us still in the main room. So let us know if you're having any issues getting into the rooms, but we'll see you back in about 30 minutes. All right. And those of you that haven't been invited into a room, you'll be staying with me in this main room. So welcome. Amy, would you like to share your screen, or was it am I sharing it? Just wanted to verify.
Yes, you'd be sharing your screen.
Got it. Let me just open up. Can you share the link to the Jamboard? Okay, everyone has it. So you all should be able to open up, like CSC members, you should be able to open this up and edit. Members of the public, you can just view, but we're going to be walking through this together. And so just wanted to say hi. My name is Diana Benitez. I'm with Just Cities, and I'm in the background with Amy, making sure that this
Diana?
meeting is running. Yeah.
No, I can't hear Diana.
Can everyone else hear me?
I can't hear in the breakout room. Can you resend me back, please?
Okay, give me one
I can't hear.
second.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but right now, give me one second.
Okay, now I can hear you. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be in room 2.
Yeah, can you kick me back in? I couldn't hear when I was in the room.
¿Estoy yo aquí en el 1? ¿Estoy bien?
Sí, Marina.
Oh, gracias.
I kick.
Amy, can you help out Ayana while I try to
please, Amy? I kicked myself out the room.
All right, so for everyone else, thank you for joining this main room. We want to take some time to brainstorm a few things with you all. Want us to make sure that we're thinking about what your vision is for improved air quality and decreased pollution in East Oakland, as well as like what would your ideal vision for the CERP, the Community Emissions Reduction Plan, be without any constraints. And so I want to give us a few minutes for folks to go in and start adding things to this document. And just, I'm going to walk you through. For those of you that are CSC members, you should be able to click on the sticky note, type in an idea, add in your initials, and click save. And you can add as many of them as you want.
I'm a steering committee member, but I don't have access to the sticky note. Do you know what that is?
Yes, give me one second. I need to get to your email. And anybody else, can you let me know? And I'm sorry, I'm one of the folks holding the breakout room, so I have a lot of things open in the background. Let's see if I can add your email. This is the email we have for you.
That's right.
So you should be on as an editor. All right, so for other folks, Carol, are you able to access?
Hold on a second. I'm trying to log in to the Jamboard. I'm trying to get my password from my email account.
Got it.
I'm not sure what's happening, but I still don't have access. I clicked on the link.
Are you logged in?
Make sure you're signed in on Google with that email address.
Yeah, it's signed in. Oh, I'm signed in under another email address. That's probably why. Okay.
Yeah. So folks can start adding. We're also, as we begin, community members, if you raise your hand, we'll also be adding your comments into the chat as well, into the Jamboard as well. But I see we have like Kalila and Marina and Jerry Susan. Susan, you can also let us know if you raise your hand, because I know you're also on that iPad. And we can start typing stuff up for you. I see Arlo, your hand is up.
Less like empty parking lots and more like green spaces.
Sorry, I'm not able to access it for whatever reason. Should I just type in my comments in the chat box?
Yeah, and Amy can add
Okay.
them in as well.
Okay.
And Tanya, if you type things into the chat or if you raise your hand, what we just did with Arlo, we can do with your comment as well.
Yeah, it's not allowing me to log in on my password. It keeps telling me that's not the right password.
No worries. Do you wanna share yours aloud or type it into the chat?
Pardon me?
Do you want to say like your idea, your vision aloud? or type it
Oh, I'm
into the
sorry.
chat?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a break in the audio.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
gonna
give
go
me just
check
a minute.
in. Sorry. This is Jerry. I was just gonna say more regulation, like on cars that are parked that need smog attention, like they not passing smog and they're just driving up and down the street, polluting the street.
Got it. Thank you, Jerry. And then Carol.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm noticing is there is a landfill for waste management that is southwest of us, but sometimes air comes upwind. So definitely that would be one. And any of the other major polluters that are around here, to make sure that those major air polluters are reducing their emissions to as much as we can.
Thank you. What else are we seeing? I'm seeing a comment, and I'm going to type this one up from Marina in the chat that says, clean our streets. One second. Clean our streets. Presupuesto, supervisar las compañías que estén en Oakland. Like, supervise. Marina, would you like to clarify, like, supervise budgets or like costs for the companies that are based in Oakland?
Sí, que sean, sí, quiero decir.
Yes, I want to say that they should be monitored well. I'm going to tell you as one example. Sometimes we have a lot of companies here in Oakland that are not regulating their companies when the supervisors arrive. Sometimes they will clean everything up, clean up their industry, their company, the filters, but when that has passed, they start putting the old stuff back in. They aren't working properly, like when the inspectors come by. Do you understand? I don't know how you can say that.
I think I got it. So companies need to be don't really clean filters, or like hide info from inspectors. And Marina, once again, just to clarify, is this specifically for like industrial businesses or also commercial businesses?
Pues yo creo que todas las que hay aquí en
I
Oakland.
think all of the companies that are here in Oakland, they should be monitored. If we are talking about air quality, then we need to start with the companies that are polluting.
Aparte ahí en el chat puse que pues también los
In the
distritos de
chat, I put also the districts in Oakland for the gardens and for landscaping. They use a lot of chemicals and they pollute our water or contaminate our water.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna add including school districts.
Sí.
Yes, the school districts.
Okay, okay. Trying to see,
Incluso también los agricultores, si ustedes se dan cuenta.
And the agriculture folks, everything they harvest when they are spraying, and they are spraying really strong chemicals that cause a lot of illnesses, make the growers to buy organic materials so that they don't pollute us with so much chemicals, because that's why there are allergies and other things like asthma.
got it, got it. And then I see two more hands up. I see Susan's and Carol. So Susan,
Unmute.
oh, you're muted, Susan.
Okay. I agreed with Carol for that we need more people, businesses, to be less polluted, our air and everything. On San Leandro, there's that gravel business. And if it's windy, the dust from the gravel is so bad. If I'm outside in my garden, I have grit on my teeth. And I really feel they should somehow, I don't know how, have filters so it's not in the air so much.
Got it, got it. Thank you. And then Carol, your hand is still up. Would you like to add? Go for it.
I have two things. Thanks. One is for emissions from vehicles, specifically trucks, from trucking. So I'd say like Port of Oakland. I know that they've talked about going electric on all trucks. So if something about changing trucks or that are gasoline to make them natural gassy, like electric, anything but. I mean, I think that needs to be a big part of our vision. And then I think the other thing, I'm not quite sure how to say it, but how can we use this process to have these a lot of the businesses that are the big polluters actually contribute, not just in the lowering of emissions, but in like the community to improve it, not just lowering the air, but actually being part of providing money that would improve parks and streets and infrastructure. I don't know if we can do that or not, but.
Got it, got it.
Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. And just want to note, we're seeing a lot of things. Tanya, I see your hand is up.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if someone could translate what the Spanish speakers are writing and saying. I'd like to know what those comments are.
Yes, I have been adding them. Let's see.
I mean, I heard the
Do
lady.
you want me to do that, Diana?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, if you could just say
Thank
what
you.
she was saying.
I was on the English channel interpreting what Marina was saying.
Oh,
I
but
don't know if everybody's on the English channel.
I think she's specifically speaking to the chat. There's a few items.
Oh, on the chat. Okay,
I
okay.
think-
Do you want me to go there and I can do that? Because I can go if you want me to do that, Diana, on the English channel.
If you can go in and type it out. I think I can also speak to it. So like.
Okay, however you want to do it.
Yeah. At 7, I had already typed up the other comment Marina had made at 7:14. Marina said that the crematorium is also contaminated. Then at 7:16, she said we need to put filters on the 880 to be able to identify.
Which crematorium?
I am not sure. Marina, which crematorium?
Sí, el crematorio donde queman los
Yes, where they cremate right passing by 98 going towards where the garbage, the landfill is. All of that is contaminating. I don't know how many dead individuals they cremate every day, but we are breathing all of that. Our children are breathing that, plants, things that we are eating.
Thank you, Marina. And then Marina also said needing to put filters on the 880 to be able to identify when like cars are like contaminating the air in that area. And I believe those are the only 2 other comments we had. And so thank you. Amy is working on adding the comments that she sees in the chat, but we have a second set of questions that I want to make sure we're able to move on to.
And yeah, before you do go, I
yes.
just want to make a correction to the one that I talked about, electric vehicles. I want to not make the cars, but trucks.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's it. Thanks.
Trucks, an example. You mentioned the port as an
Yeah.
example. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So moving us on to the second set, the question that we have is what core values and principles are going to be guiding how we get to our vision? And I know that like earlier, we've been bouncing off a lot of ideas. There's a lot of stuff on the Jamboard, but just getting us started on thinking about what those core values are going to be and those principles. I like Tanya started us off strong. Democracy. And I'm going to update it to say actual democracy with the update that Tanya had added to the chat. What else? What else do we have? Colleen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button. I mean, I think this is something that we've been echoing throughout, but just collaboration and information sharing. I did put in the note that I would like to share. I know the Port of Oakland has been named as a source, but share the initiatives that we're moving forward with and looking and assessing both at the airport and just Port of Oakland in general. So, and that would help, I think, our values and principles.
Thank you. And you said collaboration, and what was the second part?
Information sharing.
Oh, thank you.
I don't, yeah, I think collaboration is more important.
Got it. I also saw that, Carol, you said environmental justice for East Oakland. And I see racial justice. Do you want to speak to it more, Michaela?
Yeah, I think, just, really making sure we're prioritizing Black and Brown folks and those like most impacted. But I really just think racial justice is environmental justice, especially because of like the histories in Oakland. So I think that can look like, this is more of like an action, but like looking at the effects of redlining and city planning as we're thinking about solutions also.
Quiero decir otra cosa que se me olvidó.
I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
It'll come back to you, Marina. Let us know. And then I saw that Tanya also added cumulative impacts. Oh, see, Marina?
Y acá estoy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Me gustaría, ¿verdad?
Uh-huh.
Que involucráramos al condado de Alameda,
I
¿verdad?
would like to see Alameda County involved as well. You know, how they work in health and hospitals, to see the children that have asthma and maybe see the percentages of how many they have when we start doing the studies to see if it's diminished or if it's grown.
Thank you, Marina. So it sounds like partnerships with Alameda County, similar to what Colleen was sharing when it came to the Port of Oakland. So that collaboration and that information sharing. Okay, just want to add Marina. Okay, I'm gonna go in.
Mira, y mencioné que presupuesto, ¿verdad?
Did I also mention budget? I mentioned it because to do all that work, there has to be budgets. Thank you.
Very good point. I know. I was just gonna add one of the things that I've started hearing from the West Oakland climate action plan and their process is that they're getting to the point where they're like, all right, we have all of these strategies. How are we going to fund this? How are we going to make this work? And so, yes, that's a very important one. And Carol?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't change what you can't measure. So I would say actionable solutions with quantifiable outcomes.
All right. Actionable solutions with viable outcomes. Thank you. And then, Bill is here. Bill is the planning director for the city of Oakland. Would you like to speak to what you just added to the chat, Bill?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I will. Thank you so much. And yeah, sorry, I was a little late. I had another obligation as well as this one, and very glad to be with all of you. Yeah, this is fantastic. And I've been just laying back listening, and these are all focused and important. I just wanted to add also that so much of this adds up into a sense of identity and culture in the community. And so much of what we're talking about here is often violates it into the environmental impacts and redlining, all these things that have an adverse impact on that sense of place and sense of culture that often has been cultivated for generations. I just want to make sure as we think about our core values that we are acknowledging that the place has a spirit and identity as well. And that's something, no matter what we want to do, we want to first know what that is and have a sense of it, and to make sure that what we do forward respects it. So that's all. But thank you for letting me listen and be a part of this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Tanya, I see that you also added accountability, and we're about to move into a clustering exercise so we can get ready to report out. But do you wanna say any final words before we move on to the next section?
Oh, as far as accountability as a core value, what I'm saying is that we have a lot of great plans, a lot of great rules, a lot of great ideas already in Oakland. What we don't have is any accountability for the deliverance of any of the things that have already been written. So I think that having accountability and having the community be aware of where that accountability is, what we can anticipate, would be important.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And with that, we have a few minutes. I know we're like testing out different activities with you all as we're doing breakouts, especially as we're doing them virtually. So this is something that is called clustering. And so we want to try to group these into particular similar themes. And so I'm going to need some help here. And also, I don't know if you all can tell, but I'm not feeling as awesome. My voice is very deep today. And so I'm going to need some help. So I see farmers markets. I know that the businesses, Susan, like saying that businesses needed regulation. I know that we heard from, where was it? Marina had also made a comment on regulation, cleaning streets, but also business regulation. We also had, okay, so there's one on more street trees, comprehensive green infrastructure.
I would say like the bike lanes and grocery store might go with like the farmers market and the bike lanes and more, yeah, and the street trees and.
Got it. Thank you.
Grocery store. Walkable neighborhoods from the all the way
Yeah,
to left.
I like that theme. And so I'm gonna move all of these together: more street trees, comprehensive green infrastructure, less empty parking spaces.
Yeah, ask a question.
Yeah.
For bike lanes, my neighbor, I'm sorry, I can't read your name. I don't have my glasses on. Are you suggesting that we add more bike lanes to East Oakland, or can you? I just wanted to understand what you were meaning by that.
Yeah, I think it was in pair with like the walkable, bikeable cities, but yeah, I was saying more bike lanes and then making sure that the streets also are bikeable if the lanes are being installed.
Right, I guess that would be my thing, because we have a ton of bike lanes, but they're completely unusable. So I was like, if you add more of the bike lanes like we already have, they're pretty unsafe.
Okay, so I'm gonna add usable and safe. Got it.
Right, because of all the potholes. It's very unsafe.
Not because of the potholes, because of the people who drive in the bike lanes, because the bike lanes are not protected.
I was gonna say that too, but those potholes will send a biker off their bike quick.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So I'm trying to see the clustering here. So I'm seeing one that's focused on like
enforcement.
The walkable, bikeable, having more street trees. There's one focused on like businesses, like making sure that they're getting enforced. Then there's one that seems to be focused on
regulatory.
Yeah, regulatory. Then okay, is that you, Kalila, moving stuff? I'm trying to see what is.
Sorry, yeah, I was moving the polluters one next to the one where it says the pink one. I was moving it into the category around phasing out polluters and reducing emissions.
Got it. Okay. All right. So it feels like we have about 4 categories, and then the creating more green spaces. I think this one aligns with the grocery stores and the bikeable streets. Okay. So we kind of have 4 categories, and just as a heads up, we're going to move on to the second section to try to do some clustering for these sections as well, but we're gathering this up and brainstorming with you all, and then the co-chairs and CBE and the Air District are going to come together to put this all together, and the next time we meet, we'll be reporting back and there'll be more activities. And so thank you, Kalila. So what are we seeing? Can you speak to what you're starting to group, just so I can also start grouping similar things?
Oh yeah, sure. So on this right-hand side, there was partnerships, collaboration, commitment to finding solutions. Those were the 3 that I grouped over there.
Got it. And on the left side, I'm seeing the themes of like environmental justice for EJ Oakland, racial justice, civil rights is environmental justice, racial justice is environmental justice. And I wonder, then there was, I think, accountability and budgets in place and the actionable solutions.
Sort of commitments and solutions. It's funny because like I look at the respect for neighborhood identity and culture, and I feel like it kind of could go in multiple places. It could go into on the left side, or it could go onto the right side.
Well, maybe if you want, we can also have it as its own thing. Or like it connects to everything. It can be like one of the
I think it does actually. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Where
I
do
think we could put that with cumulative impacts, since all that is also sort of a wide, a broad topic.
And
Okay.
can actual democracy also be there?
Yeah, I think so.
And then, so I see a commitment to invest in learning.
Someone want me to talk about cumulative impacts, or I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm reading that and I don't have my glasses on, so I should put them on so I could see what's going on the screen. Cumulative impacts. So what I want to say about that is that we have a lot of uses that are coming into our community exempted from any environmental review, but they're not being considered cumulatively. For instance, delivery services. So we have a ton of new trucking and delivery services that have moved into East Oakland, and each one of them individually are exempt. But nobody's thinking about, well, what happens if we put 50,000 delivery services in one community? Altogether, that isn't exempt from environmental review. So that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I'm wondering, can we actually copy that one over to the other board too?
Yes,
That item.
let me just sneak it in. Where do we want to put it? Under
Okay.
enforcement or under the phasing out? I see it would go either here or here.
I think I think maybe on the left side, because the other one is about phasing out, and this is like something that's new that we can't even say we want to probably phase it out, or at least we want to control it first.
Got it. All right.
That's
So,
an extra, Anya.
so thank you for
Que nos falta un
adding
minuto.
more context. Oh, one second, Marina. I'm wondering if for cumulative impacts, that to me that sounds like it's more going towards accountability.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I could see that in accountability, or even like the partnerships, because I think all the like there's so many different agencies that like review like permit stuff that maybe looking at it all together would be more helpful.
Yeah, I'm
But
actually
I could either.
I like that. I'm also wondering if maybe we should, because all the partnerships and collaboration, accountability connects with it. So in the same way that Colleen was sharing about the port and like you with the city of Oakland, that it's like we're all in this together. Okay, and I know we're about to be moving to the larger breakout group, but wanted to check, did we already move? Oakland should be the best city. It's like just at the high level, right?
Yes, I think that we are the star city on this side of the bay, and Berkeley, Emeryville, and San Leandro should not be better than Oakland. That to me is a tragedy.
Yeah. All right. So we have these things grouped, just giving you a heads up. Kalila, would you be willing to speak with me when we get to the larger breakout group to speak to like what the categories are focused on for our sections?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you all so much. And we're also going to keep track of other things that have been spoken in the chat. So thank you all so much. So folks should be, I think, coming into this larger room if they haven't already.
That was excellent. Thank you, Diana, and everyone else.
Thank you. We're trying to be a little bit more interactive. And I know eventually you'll be hearing this soon, but we're going to be sharing an accessibility poll and starting to hear folks like, what's your comfort of potentially meeting in person? Like, what do you have any allergies? And so we're starting to get ready to continue being even more interactive.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pass it back on to Lujane.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm just going to we're each going to go over what you all shared in your breakout rooms in just a minute. So I know it's fairly brief, but I'll go ahead and share back what I heard from Andrea, Jamie, and Danny. And so for the first question, it was, what is your vision for improved air quality and decreased pollution? And what is your ideal vision for the SERP? And so they shared some of the themes were around accountability, you know, holding polluters accountable, information sharing, and making sure that it's accessible. They also talked about resources, making sure that resources are accessible and that we're also investing in alternative energy sources, also alluding to just transition, and then also talking about efficiency and also involving more people in environmental justice, including youth. And then I'll go ahead and move over to the principles question. And similarly, they revolved around collaboration and equity, accountability, information sharing, and just making sure that this process is community driven and that we continue to foster collaboration and flexibility. And then I'll go ahead and pass it off to breakout room 2 to share.
Ayana?
Ayana, did you want to share out for our group or?
Anish, can you go ahead? I'm trying to fix my earphones. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't make it bigger. There you go.
Yeah,
go
so
ahead, Anish.
In our group, there was a great discussion, some things that came out in terms of the vision. Some themes were around wanting to see a greener Oakland, having increased access to community gardens, parks, and greenways, more industry collaboration, and also just, you know, overall wanting a healthier breathing environment, especially for those with that have respiratory conditions that such as like asthma and other respiratory illnesses. And then go ahead, Ayana, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. And also, like, you know, people to be able to operate all windows within the home, you know, so that they're able to breathe clean air. A lot of the homes that are in East Oakland are over 100 years old. So they have issues with circulation and ventilation and possibly lead. So those are one of the main things. And also like the unhoused, not having respite centers to keep warm or stay warm. So they're where they have to burn trash and other things in order to stay warm, and those pollutants go into the air. That was a major concern. So if we place them in a warm area, like a respite center, there's reduction of air pollution with that. So we had a couple of other things as well, but we're going to go ahead and move on because of time. Some of the core values and principles and how we got our vision. We thought justice and making sure that the people who are harmed are taken care of medically and financially, and holding the companies accountable that do so within our community. Also, like, we were real big on speaking about trees. Trees are a valuable part of our lives, and we don't value them enough, and we don't have enough of them in East Oakland. They actually regulate a lot of things as far as stress, as far as pollutants that are in the air, and a lot of them are dying, in which we don't have enough trees in East Oakland. And that was something that we kind of focused in on. We don't have enough green, like many parks without trees. Also, we focused on that. Food trees are like food that we can grab from the trees. I know when I was younger, we used to have fruit trees where we can grab little snacks off of instead of running in the house every 5 minutes, and that was valuable for everybody, including the parents. Core values of environmental justice, racial equality, and reproductive justice was some of the things that were tossed out. Helping people who need help the most, like with breathing machines and breathing apparatuses. So we had a lot of other core values and principles, but because of time, I want to move on to the next group. Our vision for improved air quality. Is this for the next group?
Yeah, this is for group 3, Charles and Kita and Anna.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't see.
Don't worry about it, Cole. I got you.
Go ahead, Charles. Get him.
So we had some very interesting conversations, and it focused around what stationary sources and mobile sources big rigs allowed. So we ended up grouping ours. So these are thought processes that we feel like went as one. So let me start off with, we want East Oakland to look like Piedmont and Oakland Hills. So how do we get there? Well, one of the things we have to do is recognize that stationary sources and mobile sources, big rigs and things of that nature, are what cuts down on our ability to look and live like that. And we want our kids to live days without being sick. And the only way we could do that is to eliminate preventable chronic illnesses like asthma and have no more kids in our ERs. And so the other thought was to accountability, which is to see big polluters shut down to prevent more coming in. So like, yeah, we got rid of AB&I, but dang, we got Amazon and the trucks coming in. So that's particulate matter flowing all through the city now. And so we want to see something where all of the agencies come together, so in unity with community to eliminate those emissions and benefit everybody from East Oakland. And then this, I think, was the most important part, was the cautionary principles and things of that. Yes. Our precautionary principles and mitigation, and to be able to use scientific evidence to redefine what an emission source is, and to make sure that we have our focus on both mitigation and reduction measures. Okay, now you could go. My bad, Anna or Diana.
No, it's
okay, and transparency was when it comes to what core values and principles we want to guide our vision, transparency, accountability, and this was suggested by Erica, communicating education and support for health issues, that knowledge is key to empowerment. And so, and then we have our umbrella. Let's call this our umbrella, which is commitment to community. This is the heartbeat of why we're doing this work, because we're committed to the community being better. And so we want to promote a longer quality of life for our people, because right now we know we have the lowest life expectancy in our communities. And Erica said we need to have community representation, and that's why this steering committee is here, because this is community representation. So we gonna hold this together and make our voices heard. And then we talked about what is justice without atonement. You can't say we sorry without righting the wrong. And we want to be healed. We want to be whole again. And we want that, we want justice. Let me see if I can move this so I can read it. We want justice should be recognized through the community's definition of equity. It's up to us, you guys, to define what equity looks like and feels like in our community. So let's come together and do that. Okay. And so now.
Thank you, Charles. And I'm just going to go brief because we want to have time for the EJ announcements and updates. And so I was in the main public room. There was a lot of what you had all spoken about, particularly like overall regulations, wanting to see more accountability, a lot of wanting to see particular businesses be regulated, wanting to see more green spaces, grocery stores, usable and safer bike lanes. Then there was a portion on like phasing out heavy polluting industries. And then if we go into the core values and guiding principles, we were saying like things like EJ for East Oakland, civil rights is environmental justice, racial justice is environmental justice, and just the importance of racial justice. And then there was just a lot of accountability, actionable solutions, talking about needing money, needing to talk about budgets so implementation can happen, and the importance of partnerships and collaboration. In our group, we had like the Port of Oakland, we have folks from the city of Oakland, and so how important it is for all of us to work together and be committed. And then we had really big overarching ones on wanting to see actual democracy, having respect for neighborhood identity and culture, and that Oakland should be the best city of all cities. And so those are the big things. And thank you, Jasmine. You unmuted for a second. And so, yeah, those are our big things. So Lujane, passing it back on to you to close out.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, just for your incredible ideas and sharing. And so as a next step, we're going to work the co-leads, so CBE, the Air District, and your co-chairs will be working together to synthesize all of your ideas into a draft vision and principle statement. And we'll present that at a future meeting for you all to review the draft statement and participate in an activity to vote on adopting the vision and principles, which is essentially the framework of the SERP. So just, yeah, thank you all so much for participating and for your time. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our co-chairs to talk about some environmental justice announcements and updates.
Yes, yes. We do have a few updates, you guys, and we do want to offer any community member that has an update to raise your hand and let it be known that you have something to say. And so, Ayana, do you want to pass it off to the first person? First
Sure. Who do we have? Let's see.
So we have a few folks. I can help you out. I know
Thank
one
you,
of our folks
Diana.
is Alicia Parker. Would you like to get us started?
I should have introduced Alicia. We were co-chairs in West Oakland together. Alicia, yes, good to hear from you, Alicia. Go tell them your stuff.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. I'm Alicia Parker with the Planning and Climate Protection Division at the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And I'm here to give you a brief announcement about some a land use proposal, zoning code changes that the city of Oakland is currently in the process of adopting. Hi, Kalila. And so I'm wanting to also acknowledge that we sent the announcement out about the planning, the truck intensive business planning code amendments in a short time frame for residents to kind of get up to speed and understand them. So I'm here to kind of apologize for that and say that, it wasn't our intention to make people feel rushed or anything like that. But we do want to remind you all, the community, that the planning code amendments, the zoning changes that are going to help with getting those trucks off of neighborhood streets and onto truck routes, and other ways of protecting residents within 500 feet from the impacts of trucks and industry in East Oakland. The comments are due on May 9th, and I know Kalila can give you as much of an update. But I also wanted to just say that it's not clear that there will be controversy, but I think if there is, that it would be important for the neighborhood champions, for the residents to come out and support the proposal. The proposal is a direct implementation of the West Oakland Community Action Plan. There were several strategies in the West Oakland Plan that dealt with regulating truck businesses and updating codes and ordinances to better regulate the truck businesses. So this is an implementation step from that.
Thank you so much. And now we want to. You ready? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yes, we got another announcement. We have Jonathan and Peter here from UC Davis. Go ahead, Jonathan and Peter. Thank you guys so much for attending. We appreciate your presence.
Oh, thank you so much for letting us join in. We'll be brief. I know you've been on for a long time. this evening. So I'm Jonathan London. I'm a professor at UC Davis, and I'm here with my colleague, Peter Nguyen. I have to say, back in graduate school, I worked with neighbors on the King Estate Park Plan. So I have a lot of love for East Oakland. We're doing a study of AB 617 across the state. It followed on some work that we did, some funded by CARB, some from other foundations on AB 617 in the first round of communities. And so this study is funded by a foundation called the California Wellness Foundation. And it has a couple different parts of it. One is doing some case studies with first year communities in that first crop of 10. And then the other is a statewide survey of all now 19 community steering committees, both all the members of the CSEs, but also staff of the air districts and CARB and board and so on. So really everyone who's touching 617. And we really want to hear your voices. We really want to get a sense of how do people feel about how AB 617 is meeting their needs and the kinds of visions that you all were laying out? How well do you feel like the 617 process is meeting those needs and visions, as well as what are suggestions about ways that implementation could be even better? And then we're going to use that research to share back with the air districts and with CARB and other people who are interested, including people in other parts of the country and even parts of the world, because a lot of eyes are on California for AB 617. So we have this survey out, and I'm going to ask Peter if he hasn't done it already. Peter, if you could put in chat the links. It's in English and Spanish. There it is. Thanks, Peter. In English and Spanish. We're asking people if they can do it within a month by May 12th, although we can be flexible. We do have a raffle for gift cards for residents to respect your time and expertise, and that's all explained in the survey links that we just distributed. Peter, anything else I missed?
Nope, we're all good. I believe the Air District also just sent that out, the links and the announcement earlier today or earlier this week. So yeah, appreciate all your feedback. So looking forward to seeing all your thoughts.
Thanks, Peter. And I don't know if you have time for people to ask us questions. We're open to that, but if you need to move on, of course, that's fine too.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. But if we get through the rest of these announcements, we'll make sure we leave room for some questions right quick, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And so now we want to get to Kalia with the City of Oakland Planning.
Hi, yes, thank you. I just wanted to just ask a quick question. I was asked to prepare a presentation. It's about 4 minutes. Should I still do that, or should I just give an announcement? So I know we have 5 minutes left.
I propose if share information at a high level, and we can share the presentation with folks after.
Sure. Okay, so the City of Oakland is updating its general plan. This is the first time that we'll be creating an EJ element. And so the draft of the EJ element is out for public input, along with an update of the safety element. And so the EJ element has goals, policies, and strategies to reduce pollution and improve air quality and address environmental disparities throughout the city. There's been a long community engagement process starting in fall 2021 with the help of 14 CBOs that make up the Deeply Rooted Collaborative that have been engaging unhoused residents, communities of color, working class communities, youth, formerly incarcerated people throughout Oakland. And so all that input has been included in those plans. The deadline for sending your feedback is June 9th, June 22nd, sorry. And we will be hosting some town halls and community events in May and June. Dates to be determined. One of them will be virtual and the rest will be in person. And once those are announced, you can sign up for updates on the general plan website. I'll put the link in the chat to receive those. And I will also let you all know at these meetings whenever the dates are finalized. Thanks.
Kalia, thank you. And we want to make sure, because I know you spent a lot of time on your presentation. And so in a future meeting, we want to give you the opportunity to go more in depth if need be for if you get questions, okay?
Sure, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And we have, I believe, Tanya is next.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Kalia, for sharing that information and for all the other speakers. Today, I wanted to share with you something that I am involved with, that my organization, Environmental Democracy Project, is involved with. I know a lot of people on this call have been speaking about trash. And one of the collaborations that we're involved with is called CAPEQUA. And what that stands for is Community Academic Partnerships to Advance Equity-Focused Climate Action. And this is a project that's happening across our state. There are 12 groups who are doing this project, and we are one of them. And the group here in Oakland, we are focused on Oakland's trash crisis and how it impacts air quality and the quality of life in Oakland. And so we're going to be doing a group investigation of the sources and inequitable impacts of managing litter, illegal dumping, and other forms of solid waste across our city. We are in collaboration with the University of Berkeley, with the College of California Arts, and also with West Oakland, WOCAN, West Oakland Community Action Network, in order to bring this to Oakland. So if there's anybody out there that's interested in getting involved in this, this is going to be a year-long project. I would love to hear from you. And we're just about 6 months into what's going to be, actually, it's 18 months. We have about another year left, an 18-month project. So I just wanted to put that out, that there are a lot of things happening to try to improve the quality of life here in Oakland. And if anyone wants to get involved, I will leave my email in the chat. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you so much. And I want to ask everybody to give us a couple of more minutes, because Sharifa has an update with CBE, and we want to hear what Sharifa talking about. So go ahead, Sharifa. We're gonna hold on.
Thanks, everybody. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharifa. I'm a researcher for the East Oakland team at CBE. And the announcement I wanted to make is just that we're prepping folks for comment letters to submit to the city next week at our member meeting, which is Thursday at 6 p.m. And so if you are a CBE member or you are ever in that space, that's a place where we can come to talk about the EJ element, as well as some of the concerns that we've had from it, comparing the administrative draft and the public draft, which obviously we're not going to show you the administrative draft, but just wanted to note that there should ideally be some differences. Anyway, thank you all for staying a minute over, and I hope you all have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Sharifa.
Yes, and Co-Chair, don't we want to thank everybody who came out, who participated, and we want you all to know that we heard you, and we will be working with our co-leads to come together and get our people involved in the committees they want to be a part of, so that we can get some stuff moving around here, y'all. That's what it's about. It's about progress, not perfection.
Right. And you know, nothing was built overnight. So we building this and we trying to do it right. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. So our feedback on the meeting and the next steps, Charles, you want to go ahead and swing it right quick?
Okay, and could we make sure that everybody fill out the post-meeting survey? You have it in English and Espanol.
And in person, hybrid meeting accessibility poll. We have that on there as well. So our next meeting will be Thursday, May 11th, 2023. Go ahead and look and book that on your calendar. We thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for being a part of something that is going to be everlasting.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody
Thank
have
you.
a
You
good
guys have a wonderful night.
Hey, be safe out there in the town, y'all.